Hi guys, welcome to the 88th episode of the Naina Redhu experience. As always, the last episode was actually quite cool. I got a lot of cool responses, that people had questions. I try and talk about things that are relevant to all of us as professional photographers, keeping India in mind. There's a lot of content that's available where people from the US, for example, or Europe share their experiences. But the Indian market is quite different, and how things work here are completely different from how things work in New York or LA or in London, for example. One of the things that I face a lot of, or I have faced a lot of trouble with in my photography career is that a lot of people don't understand image licensing and usage and how that works, and that includes people who are photographers themselves. But I'm not talking about that right now. I am working on a podcast episode about that. I will be addressing it in another episode. It requires I want it to be a little structured so that we don't waste time going all over the place. Today I'm actually going to be talking about a specific case. I'll talk about, when magazines reach out to you and they want to use your photographs. So I will talk about this in the context of when you are a professional photographer. And in the second case, when you are not a professional photographer, you might be a hobbyist. And if you are not a photographer at all, but there are images that a photographer has shot for you and given you, and then a magazine wants to use those images. So I'll obviously start with the first case, where if you are a professional photographer and a magazine reaches out to you and says, a magazine or a digital magazine, I don't just mean a print magazine, I mean a digital blog or an aggregator website, for example, and they reach out to you and say that, hey, we want to use these 5 images that we saw, and can we use them? Now what happens is that a lot of us, especially in the early days of our career, when we're younger, when a publication that we consider is respectable, when they reach out to us, we're like, oh my god, that magazine wants to publish my work, so I'm very happy about it. And I'm like, okay, here you go, the images. They'll say that they'll give you credit, so under the photograph it'll be mentioned photo by Naina or something like that. I have also made these mistakes, which is why I'm hoping that if you are a young photographer, you're up and coming, that you will be aware of this. What happens in India is that nobody's going to say it to you upfront and be like, okay, we want to use your images, and this is what we pay per image, per page. This is what we pay if we use it on the cover. So this is what we will pay you for 5 images. And nobody does that, unfortunately. Internationally, how it works is that I have worked with international print magazines also, and international publications also. They will tell you upfront that, look, this is our budget for this particular assignment. We want these 5 images, and they'll be like, this is how much we are willing to pay you, because these are our usual rates, because they have industry standards, etc. India doesn't have those. So they'll tell you upfront that this is what we will pay you. In India, that doesn't happen. So what you have to, the way I work this out is that, sometimes magazines reach out to me and say that we want to do a feature about you, where we want to talk about you, we want to do an interview, and then we want 5 to 10 images that represent you and your work. In that case, there is no charge for images, because they are doing a feature on me, they're talking about me, they're introducing their audience to me and my work. So then I will not charge for giving them high-res images for them to use. Then my contract with them, and yes, there will be a contract even when it is an interview, even if it is something as simple as an email saying that I would like to clarify that I am, I'm putting these images, uploading these high-res images for your magazine. Usage only includes this particular feature on the website or in print. No other usage or licensing is included for these images, okay? So what this means is that the next time if the magazine likes a particular image, maybe I have photographs from New York that also represent my work. So when someone does an interview, they'll publish a photo of New York skyline. But tomorrow, if the magazine is doing an article or something else which has got to do with New York, they can't just use that photo because they have it. They still have to come back to me and like, okay, we're using this for a feature, right? So that is one case where if they're interviewing you, then you're sharing images. There is no charge or licensing, etc. for that. But you still should have a contract that specifies that, okay, this is the licensing, it's limited to this. The second case is when a magazine or a digital magazine or a print magazine is doing a feature on something else, and they want to use images that you have shot. For example, a travel magazine might want to do a feature on a location. Like, okay, they want to do something about Sri Lanka. So they have a 10-page spread in their magazine about places to go eat in Sri Lanka or the best beaches in Sri Lanka, right? And now you guys know recently I've been to Sri Lanka. So I might have some images from a particular city like Hikkaduwa in Sri Lanka, and they might say that, oh, we really like these 4 images from Hikkaduwa. One is like a food photo, one is like a beach photo, one is like a very something. They like 4 photos. Now in this case they are doing a feature on Sri Lanka, and yeah, under the photo they will say photo by Naina Redhu, but they are using my images to make their article look better. So there will be a licensing fees. Most cases this is an editorial fee. So if you are, if you're going to be polite and nice, you can say, okay, thank you very much. I'm glad you like my images. Please let me know what your editorial rate is and how the images will be used. Usually, image licensing in print, for example, you are paid for a full page image use. Payment is different. If it's used half page, then it's a little less. Quarter page is even lesser, and something smaller than. So the size of the image matters. The placement of the image matters. For example, a lot of us in India, we're like, "Arey, pata hai, mera photo cover pe aaya hai." Like, a photograph I shot is on the cover of a print magazine. Yes, it's nice, it's really cool, but did you know that you actually get paid more if a magazine uses your image on the cover? I know a lot of people don't know this. They're just like, "Arey, my photo is coming on the cover. Yay, party, free mein de diya. Kuch nahi hua." A print magazine is selling their magazine on the basis of what the cover looks like. So it's not, you don't do it for free. You charge more. You get paid more for a cover. Like I remember in the early days, I'd done a assignment for an American magazine, a print magazine. And the editor there, she had said that we want to use these images, and they commissioned me for a shoot, and they expected a certain number of photos from the shoot. And she said, we'll be using these photos inside the magazine, and this is our rate. It was an editorial rate. And in the email, she also said that I'm not sure, but we might end up using one of the images for the cover. If that happens, then we will also pay you, this much. This is the cover usage rate, etc. And I was like, who does that? Like, nobody does that in India. Anyway, the article came out, and they used one of the images on the cover. And what they paid me for the cover was what they had paid me for the entire rest of the assignment, just to give you an idea. So in India, it's like, अरे cover में photo आ रही है, उस magazine ने बोला है इसका हमें photo चाहिए, they're featuring me. So they're featuring you is different. Are they actually featuring you? If they're just publishing a bunch of photos and they're not talking about who you are, they're not introducing you to their audience, just writing credit photo by so-and-so is not enough. That's not payment. That is a given. Credit तो मिलता ही है. मतलब, if you're not even getting credit, then you're the idiot. And you must learn from that experience. एक बार हो गया, अगली बार नहीं होना चाहिए. Which is why every time someone uses a picture of mine on Instagram without credit, I'm like, fuck you. I put a takedown notice, I send it to Instagram, and they're like, instantly it's removed. Because this is bullshit. I don't care. Even if I have been paid for something, you will bloody well give me credit. That is like the most basic thing to do. So for a print magazine also, or a digital magazine, if someone's doing a feature on you, it's different. But if it's an editorial use, you can ask them if you want to be nice, or then you can tell them that, look, this is my editorial rate. And if you can tell me approximately how you're planning to use it, then you can come up with like a package rate. That's totally fine. The third case is, if it's for an advertorial. Like sometimes you might have seen like in a magazine or on a blog, like a client is paying me to do a blog post. Or similarly, magazines get paid by advertisers to do features on them. And most magazines will mention that, hey, this is an advertorial. So in that case, the brand or the client who's paying for that ad space is the one who should have paid for your photos to be used there. Which is why, like in my contract, I'll say that this contract, this pricing is only for usage licensing ABC. It does not include commercial usage, ad usage. It can't be used for point of sale. You can't print a hoarding from it. You can't print a, standee from it and put it in your store. Things like that. Because advertorial usage, advertising usage is more expensive. I get paid more for that. And it doesn't matter if you're a professional photographer or not. If there is somebody writing to you who wants to use your images, they clearly see value in your images. So you should be getting paid for them. So being featured in a magazine it's like being featured on my blog. Like, we've always had this thing that, oh, bada magazine hai. Bada magazine ka kya matlab hai? These days, what does it mean? Have you quantified it? Do you have the data? Do you know what the circulation numbers are? Like, for the blog, you can actually go to a website and check, okay, how much traffic does this blog get? There is no data for a print magazine. You cannot tell how much readership they have. Just because they're publishing 50,000 copies doesn't mean that 50,000 copies are being sold or that it is reaching 50,000 people, even if they're giving away those copies for free, right? So it's not just कि अरे feature हो गया, like, oh my god, Nat Geo में feature हो गया. No, it's not Nat Geo में feature हो गया. They reached out to you. They're using your images to fill up the pages of their magazine. They have advertisers who pay money to put their ads in that magazine, and you're helping sell that ad because your content adds value to the magazine. So this is one of the things I really want, I've been thinking about, and I think I have spoken about it earlier, but maybe not in these clear terms. And I have some notes, so just a second. Oh yeah, like I said, when you're not the photographer, for example, like someone's taken my picture, right? Someone's done or maybe a magazine says that, okay, yeah, I'll give you an example. Like HT Brunch, in the beginning of last year, they did a feature where I was one of 6 or 7 women, and we were all on the cover of HT Brunch. So now there was a photographer where we had gone to a studio, and this photographer had taken pictures of us in a group setting and, solo photos and things like that. Okay. Now here the magazine, HT Brunch, is the client, and the photographer is shooting for them. I am the model in this case, right? Tomorrow, if I am like, okay, that one photo was really cool, and there's another magazine that reaches out to me and says, "Arey, that green cape photo that you have, we want to use that as your photo, and we're doing a short interview with you." Now, I can't just pick up that photo from wherever and give it to the magazine. Like, I know it is my photo, but the complication here is that the photographer was paid by HT Brunch. So, I don't know what the photographer's contract was. So, the ownership of that image is unclear. So the best thing for me to do would be to reach out the the journalist or the reporter or the features editor who worked on that piece when I was on the cover, and ask them that, hey, can you put me in touch with the photographer, or can you let me know if I can use this image? And I will need it in writing, either them saying, okay, yes, you can use this image, here is a high-res copy, or the photographer might be like, okay, you want to use it for an editorial, so I'll charge like $5,000, or are you planning to use it, I might say I want to use it for the rest of my life, so can I get a perpetual license? So they might have a fixed rate for that. So, it has happened with me where I took a picture of someone, and it was a phone photo. So these days, phones are amazing. Pixel 3 is like insane. So I taken some photos of them, and they wanted to use it somewhere. I don't remember if it was in a magazine or a book, and they didn't even ask me. They just gave the photos to the editor, and it was there. And in retrospect, they said, oh, we'll send you a copy. And I was like, you didn't take permission to use the photo. And they were like, no, but I'm in the photo. And I'm like, that doesn't matter. I made the photo, right? I'm the photographer. You need permission to use my stuff. You can't just be like, oh, I'm in the photo, so I can use it. No, you can't. I can, when I take pictures of people, it's not that I'm like, oh, I'm using the photo like to sell something. I'm not. It's like my blog doesn't even have ads. That is commercial usage where you're including an image of someone. I don't even do that. So if you're in a magazine or you're on a blog that displays ads, you are giving something to that publisher which is of value to them, which is helping them sell ads, which is, you generate content and you do ads on the basis of that. A lot of people have that business model. You should be getting paid for your photos unless the feature is about you, where you're being interviewed and they're, like I said, introducing their audience to who you are. There are links to your blog. They're talking about your brand name, your experience, etc., etc. But if it has nothing to do about you, nothing to do with you, and it's just a feature that they're doing, and they're filling their pages with images that you have produced and they're good quality, you should be getting paid for it. Contracts for everything, always. And I know a lot of people say that, print media में 100% advance नहीं मिलता है. ऐसा नहीं है, मिलता है. I'm telling you, मिलता है. Specific cases, obviously, there can be problems. They might come to you one time on a short notice and say that we want you to do this, and there's no time for 100% advance. That's okay. Come next time. Be prepared next time. Give me a week's notice so that you can give me 100% advance. Say no. Really, it's okay. And if they really like your work, they'll come back. They do come back. If there is somebody that I genuinely want to work with, I'll save up to buy that stuff. It's the same for saving up to buy talent or booking talent. So don't undersell yourself. A magazine is not doing you a favor by publishing your images. They might be doing you a favor by featuring you, yes. But just by publishing your images and giving you a credit in each other's, nobody's doing anybody favors. They're asking you because they might know that you're young and inexperienced. So you might not turn around and ask them that what is the licensing, what are you paying me for this? So they are more they're like chalo karke dekhte hain. Okay, so that was the 88th episode. If you want me to talk about something specific, please ask me. Really, sometimes I just run out of content. I don't know what to talk about. And I don't want to talk about, stuff like, oh, I'm wearing this lipstick, or this is how I put makeup, and this is what I've done with my hair. Because that's not what I do. I mean, I do these things, but they're not a major part of my life. I'd much rather share my experiences, especially in the Indian context, as a photographer, blogger, solo entrepreneur, woman photographer, woman entrepreneur, whatever. So if you have specific questions, or you've been in incidents and you didn't know how to deal with them, please ask me. You can send me emails. I'll keep your information private, but I can still talk about it and share and give you an idea of what you could have done or what can you do if it happens again. Great. Thanks for listening. Bye.